Howdy, y'all. Thank y'all for coming to our session -1 of Blood Moon and Baker's Gap. So this is not a real session. We're just getting together and going over some of like how the character sheet's laid out and how the Cypher system works. I don't know. That system works. Um, so this will be nice and relaxed, quick and easy. And hopefully anyone watching will tune in later for our actual Blood Moon and Baker's Gap campaign. All right, y'all. So I need to share my screen, which is going to make this look real funny. And I'm sorry about that. I just realized I have to get to a slightly different place. I have to go all the way back
This
here.
session is brought to you by pine trees,
It is.
specifically loblolly pines, the state tree of Alabama.
Is it? I'll take your word for it. All right, y'all. We're about to make stuff look real funny, and that's okay. Need to make this a little bigger. Oh no. That's no good. 1 second. We're gonna have to do it this way. All right, y'all. I'm getting ready to share my screen. We'll see how it looks for y'all, but it's important y'all can see it. Okay. Is this legible? Can y'all see this?
It looks good to me.
Sorry, I'm trying to cover this up where I can't see it.
Good enough.
Cool. You know, I'm all about good enough and no gooder. So, did this change for y'all? Yes. Okay, interesting. For YouTube, really quickly. When you're setting up character sheets in Roll20, you go to like your game settings, you do not want to use the strange. I made this mistake. This multiple recursion sheet is not what we're about to go over. You want to just punch in this Cypher Systems here. If I could type, Cypher Systems. That's what we're using. I don't think it matters which one of these games you pick. It looks like they all look the same, but that's what we're going over today. That is the sheet that matches most closely to the PDF character sheets that you get out of the back of the book. If you have like your Old Gods core rule book, which I hope you have if you're listening to this. So pick either one of these options.
I used the strange one.
I think we all use the strange one.
Might be. I'll fix that later.
Oh, no, yours should be. We can fix that here. Yeah, yours is right.
Oh, mine's right?
Yeah. You remember that one we looked at?
I thought you said we wanted to use it.
When we got
Cypher,
together?
not the strange.
Well, you remember the one we looked at when we got together? Like that Saturday night, that Saturday evening that was all complicated?
Yeah.
That's the one you don't want to use. All right, y'all, here we go. This is my character that I played when Josh ran Luther's Folly. So you're all probably familiar now that when you create a character, you do it based on like a name, a type, a description, and what they call a focus, which is sort of like it's like a personality trait that defines you, sort of. It's like a set of abilities that defines you. It's really just one ability that upgrades every time you gain a level, sort of. So that goes at this top left hand of this character sheet here. Everyone here, I think, has already picked out their little sentence to describe themselves. So this was Robert Wells, who is a sharp-eyed, and I put lawyer here. He's a speaker. I suggest usually to write it like this. Can't see it on this character sheet, but when you're writing it out for yourself, put in parentheses what actual type your character is. Robert was a speaker who casts shadows, so that's his foci. So in the book, you guys would or have went to the type section, where you pick either speaker, sage, protector, or explorer, and that section tells you quite a few things. But we're going to start with these little pools over here. because that's probably the most important part, and I'll touch more on them when we talk about the rules here in a little bit. But you get a certain amount in each pool. So I think you start with like 5 or 6 in each pool, and then each type is going to give you an amount that you get to split between those 3 pools. I think it's like 6 or 7. Those of you that have done this before, are y'all with me? Does this sound familiar?
6, I believe.
Double check, but it is right. It also depends on what you choose for that first part. So the speaker, I think different things can add additional things to the pools.
You can get other additions, but if we're looking at a blank character sheet and filling it out, we're starting at the top left and doing the name, then we're doing the pools. Your type, I'm sorry, yeah, your type. So this little speaker, your class, as we would call it, and other things, that will tell you what your edge is. I think Robert's edge is 2 because he's a tier 2 character. It'll probably start at 1, but each class, each type will have a different edge. I'll explain what those are here in a minute. Your skills are sort of weird and nebulous in this game, in my opinion. So the way that something else I want to point out about the character sheet is that you can open and close these boxes, which is very useful, in my opinion, to help you see things. So you click these little circles, these little dots, bullets, I don't know what you want to call them, to drop down the actual skills. And each skill is going to be like a speed skill or an intellect skill. And I believe that should be, like when you're given the skill, I think it should tell you. And most of the time, you're not going to put one here unless you're trained or specialized or you have an inability. I'm going to explain these later when I explain the rules. But this is how you actually you don't get to pick this, you have to type it. That's why I said nebulous earlier, because like it'll tell you that you're trained in this or that. But using magic, very vague. Initiative is not a separate thing, it's listed as a skill. Please come talk to me or your GM if you're watching this. About See, like this one is seeing through deception. I took that out of a book. Like one of the abilities told me that I was skilled at seeing through deception. So that's what I wrote down. A little weird, but also kind of cool. Do you have does anything not make sense right now? No, that was a weird explanation for skills, but there is a list of skills in the book for people that really like a list of bona fide things to look at. The main source book has a list of bona fide skills, but your classes will occasionally, your class or your focus or your choices may occasionally give you something weird, like seeing through deception.
No, that definitely makes sense, and it checks out with everything should be explicit around the choices you made for your early descriptor. It'll tell you like what you're good at, what you're not good at, and make sure you mark that.
And that's why you see T's on mine. So he's trained at these things. He's actually untrained in light weapons, but it doesn't matter. Everybody can use light weapons because their attacks are eased. Let's see here. What is his eye? So he actually has an inability in medium and heavy weapons. So that's what these mean. Like I said, I'll explain. You can see here if they're good or bad at it. Oh, I realize this is intellect and this is speed, so that's cool. You don't even have to drop them down.
You may get to this later, but there's a skill my character has like a deficit in, so he has an inability in it. But then I chose a skill that gave him a benefit in it, so that would just like neutral out. Correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And I stuck it on the skills because it's being like modified by a couple different things. So I just stuck it on there because the modifications. I don't know if that matters or not.
No, yeah. So, and that's probably why they've got them set up as like this one is. So you went from an inability to untrained, so you can do it, but you don't get any benefit. And there will be options down the road to spend experience or maybe even to take another ability or to take another thing that moves you up another level to trained, and then you would get like the eased, and specialized would ease it by 2 steps. like I said, we'll go over that stuff here in a minute. I don't remember what this was. This was inability. Here we go. How you feeling so far, Brandon? I know we just went a lot faster than you can put stuff in.
I'll figure it out.
I think your type should give you most of your skills, but like the description and the focus might add some. That's why he's got quite a few here.
Yeah.
That was I can't remember. I know I filled all this out. Actually, let me I'll wait for our first break and see if I can go find. I know I wrote it on a piece of paper. It might be in my car.
Oh, I was about to say, are you looking just like for your description name here, or did you like write out each thing you had picked?
I did do all that. I wrote that all out. I got my might, speed, intellect,
I see. Okay.
edge, but not. Yeah, but like as
Yeah,
far as items and stuff, I had picked everything and.
cool. So
Well, and
we'll
not to keep butting in, sorry, but like the descriptor at the top, when you choose like those 3 specific items, if you just fill out your sheet in order as you pick them, it makes it a little bit easier, in my opinion, because then you can just jot down like, does this give me like a trained or an inability or something? Go ahead and put it on the sheet. Go to the next part. Does this give me trained inability, whatever? Put it on the sheet.
It's a good point. It does look like they go in order. Okay, well, so this is mostly about how the sheet works. Off camera, we can get each person's sheet figured out. What's up, Ben? My
Hey,
bro.
what's up, dude?
Good to see you, my man.
Good to see you too. Forgot what day it was. I fell asleep when I got home. Not gonna lie.
We all have needed naps, so there's no judgment here. We're going through this. I think you filled yours out because you've played before. So we're going through the character sheet, and then after that, maybe the more interesting part for you is I will go over like the rules and stuff after this. But special abilities are given mostly by your type up here. You get to pick 2, I think, at first level. It sucks that it's only 2 because you have to pick from like freaking what 8 or 9 or 12 at first level. It kind of sucks. You got somebody to pick from a little bit. So just like this other one, for these sheets, you can drop down the ability itself to type in it. You do have to type in these. You don't get to select if you're spoiled by D&D Beyond like we are. You got to type in these mother truckers. But you get, your type should tell you if it uses intellect. That's actually part of the name in the book. When you look at the Bewitch ability, it says 1 intellect point. It'll tell you if it's an action, how much intellect points it costs. So, spoiler alert, these pools are health and mana and stamina, as y'all have heard me say before. So, for some things, if you want to cast it, you got to spend an intellect point. I don't have to for this one, but I'll explain why later. So you can set all that stuff when you drop this down here. And then I just took the description and copy pasted it right into this description box, like straight out of the book. So if y'all are, oh, this doesn't look as good as I wanted it to, that's okay. So if y'all are, working out of a PDF like I am, you can just copy paste out of that Old Gods of Appalachia source book and stick it right in here. And you can do that with all of your, there we go. You can do that with all of your abilities given to you. So Terrifying Presence was actually given to me by this Cast Shadows focus up here. Focus, whatever you want to call it. So, it's an action. It costs 2 intellect. And that's what it does. Easy peasy. You just put it right in there. Enabler is like something that applies all the time. I know that's rules talk, but there is an option to put your enabler abilities in here too. Most of those will be from your type. Keep wanting to call it a class.
Quick question. What does the enabler tag thingy mean?
Enabler means that it applies all the time. You don't have to use an action. Anytime you do this.
So it's like passive, basically.
Yeah. So this one particularly, it gave me 2 more skills, and I just got those skills. And well, each time you select it, you must choose 2 different. Yeah. So I probably took this maybe on a level up. Maybe it was something given to me a different way. I don't remember which thing provided this, but it just means I get these 2 skills all the time. It's more it's like a permanent buff. And that's probably why there are extra skills up here. I must have picked one of these 3, deception, stealth, or intimidation, to have like permanently moving forward.
Yeah, the skill comes from your type, I believe. It's one of those bajillion options you have to choose from, the 4 that you get.
Fair enough. Yeah. So I labeled this one tier 2. So this must come from my focus because it's the shadow thing. So this is what I'm talking about. Like, one of my special abilities was Terrifying Presence. That came from my Cast Shadows focus. It was an action. It let me try to scare someone, essentially. And then at tier 2, instead of getting like a choice of things, you get your theme upgraded. So now my shadows could interact with things instead of just being a scary thing on the wall. I could pick up a cup or something. So when you're picking your focus, which is this last little who you are, that thing stays thematically the same and gets upgraded.
Just to expand on something he said earlier, when you're tier 1, you get to choose 4 tier 1 abilities to start, and then every upgrade you get to choose 2 additional ones.
Okay, start with 4, not 2. That's still too many when there's fucking 12 of them.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, they offer you new ones too for the second tier, but you can still choose from the first tier too.
Yeah, spoiler alert for the internet. This was when we first play tested this many months ago, which is on YouTube. Check it out, Luther's Folly. Broke my brain to have to like make a character the first time. It's different.
Yeah, it really did.
It's definitely different.
So now that we're through, so this very last here is your background. If you need help with that, I can't help you. Your GM has to help you. Sorry about that. The rest of y'all have done pretty good. Y'all that are here, Spencer, I think we got to talk about it, but no pressure. It doesn't have to be complicated.
I'm not for Baker's Gap, if that helps.
That helps significantly. Thank you. All right, so I'm gonna hit the break screen real quick. If you give me a second to get there. Oh, it's not working. I broke it. I'll have to go somewhere else. And we'll be back in a second. No. I hit the wrong thing, but now we're back. I almost played the intro video. Whoops. The wrong intro video, actually. All right, y'all. So we're back over here to the damage track. I'm going to talk about this more in the next video / part of this session -1, but there are 3 damage tracks that you check mark like this. Hold on. Back up. I almost got rolling too quickly. Something that we wanted to mention that I forgot to mention in the first part of this was that if you're using the player's handbook, it does not have these special abilities listed that we keep talking about. That's part of your type or part of your focus. The player's handbook, quote unquote, the player's guide only walks you through how to pick a focus, a type, and a descriptor. So if you want the details for the abilities you get or get to pick, you got to go to the big Old Gods of Appalachia source book, the main source book. If you're a player, your GM should have that. Collaborate. But there's the other thing that Brandon asked, when you're filling the sheet out, the way that you fill these pools out is that you take everything you get to add to a pool. So I think Brandon said for an explorer, he got to start with 9, he got to add 3, and then he got an ability that added 2 more, which got him to 16 total intellect. So Robert also has 16 total intellect. So the total amount that you have goes in this pool column here. That's the most that you can have at any time until you get a level up or take an ability or whatever. Whichever edge you have goes here. Again, at level 1, it will probably be 1. Explain what that means later, what it does later. But then while we're playing, you're going to use points to do things. It is, again, your stamina, your mana, and your health. But not per pool. This is not just mana. This is not just stamina. This is not just health. They are all 3. all three of those things at the same time. No, I know that don't make sense, but we'll get there. If you use intellect to do something, which you will, you would put in here, I use 2 points. I have currently 14 out of my 16. We'll also talk about later how rests work. So those are the two things. Go ahead.
We should highlight really quick that if you have an edge, it reduces the cost by that edge.
We'll get to it when we cover vocabulary.
Cool.
Next, probably the next video if you're watching this as a video.
I got ahead of myself. I'll stop interrupting. Goodbye.
No, it's all good. It's nice to have multiple people here that have done this. Damage track. We're back talking about damage track. So I just mentioned that these guys are everything all at once from perspective of like stamina and health and mana, and that is because if you get attacked, you know who knows what happens. If a pool goes down to 0, you move 1 spot down the damage track. So you could run out of speed or intellect before you run out of might. It doesn't matter. You would go down to impaired. When the next pool reaches 0, you go to the next step of the damage track. And believe me, the consequences are not fun. Impaired is a pretty significant debuff in my opinion of someone who's never ran this game before, so take that as a grain of salt. Debilitated is pretty scary. I would liken this to this is more or less like being down in D&D, but you have you're conscious. You can do a few more things. If your speed is 0, you can't move. So this is pretty scary. And then dead, of course, is dead. You know, dead is gone. Usually, says the guidebook.
So if your speed reaches 0, your movement speed, I guess, stops. But what happens if your might reaches 0?
It just depends on where. So, and I think this only the speed 0 only applies in this debilitated damage track.
Oh, I got you.
So hail is where you start. It's where you want to be. So, you know, we were chuckling earlier, Josh, that there's 3. There are really only 2. There's healthy and dead and the 2 spots in between. So that's kind of scary. You can also be moved down the damage track by like a enemies can have abilities that instead of doing damage, you just get chunked down to the next damage track. And that's terrifying.
That's fucked.
Yeah, it's messed up. We're gonna talk about like this game encourages, I think, GMs to sort of bully players. You get experience out of it. It's weird. I don't mean to say it that way. We'll talk about GM intrusions here, you know, at the next part. Tis weird. Don't abuse your players, GMs. You heard it here first. Attacks. So just like the other thing, just like the other bubbles here on the sheet, you can drop this down. You have to type. You cannot select the name, but it'll tell you. And if you don't know, ask your GM. If you're the GM, read the book. I can't tell you off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure the book is going to tell you if it's going to be might. Daggers, I'm pretty sure melee is might, and I'm pretty sure that guns are speed, and that's pretty much always going to be the case. Intellect, like this intellect, this is an intellect attack, but it's like a special ability, right? And I would just roll this. How did I roll this? I probably should have an attack listed for this, is what I'm guessing. I probably just rolled a d20 because we're going to talk about this later. That's all you do is roll d20s. There's no additions. You can play the whole game with like just a d20 instead of using like this guy here to roll stuff. You can just roll with, you know, yeah, looks like you can just roll a d20. Where is the things? These guys, you know, you can just play the whole thing with this guy because you're always trying to hit a certain number, and you're not ever going to be adding to your dice. We'll talk about it later. I promise. Oh, sorry. I thought we changed music. So this is really just about labeling, like, you know, how you want stuff to be with flavor. You know, the book doesn't have 38 special or 22 revolver. I think I have like a medium. Is this one? I have a medium handgun and like a light handgun. And so the description's mostly, for flavor. They're both handguns, so they're both speed. I'm actually untrained in these, which means I would be hindered in them. So this one doesn't count. That's I've kept alluding to this, so I'm gonna go ahead and cover it. So, and thanks to Spencer, I didn't realize this. Light weapons, if you try to use a weapon that you're not trained in, there's a penalty to do so. The roll is hindered, and that just means it's one step harder to do something. We'll talk about the steps and stuff later. If you had to make a 4, you'd have to roll 5 instead. But light weapons are eased, so that cancels each other out. So anybody can use a light weapon. So I have a light weapon here that's not eased because it is 4 damage. I'm not gonna dig right now into all the damages and combats. Like, we will work that out while we play. It's not too difficult. Small weapons do a certain amount. Medium do a certain amount. We've done enough combat in enough games. I think we're gonna be okay. Does anybody have any questions on that? Cool. Slightly
Yeah.
slightly separate from attacks. Your actual weapons can go down here where you can put in their damage. You can say what they shoot. If you're a blowgun kind of guy, maybe they shoot darts. Nobody laughed. It's okay. Blowguns are not funny. Darts are not funny. They're full of poison. Looks like we can add modifiers for some reasons. Don't know what they are. I like how you can keep track of your bullets. I think that's cool. I must not have realized that while we were playing.